All right, it looks like we're up and running and live here in Dubai. A very good evening or afternoon or morning, wherever you happen to be. Phil Pendlebury here and hope you're having a super mega large day. If we do have any visitors from the Middle East, Assalamu alaikum, marhaba, and it is Ramadan at the moment, so Ramadan Kareem to you all. Okay. So today we're going to do some basic sound design in Nuendo 12. We've done that before, but in this video we're just going to show a couple of tools that may help you do it. So I'm going to do it from scratch. I'm going to show you the process. I've made a little video. We'll show that in a second. And we're going to have a look at the free libraries that come with Nuendo and how to use them. And then we're going to have a look at Soundly, which is a very powerful tool to make some adjustments to what we do with the Nuendo libraries. So a brief outline on this. Sound design, as you guys may know, there's no rules, just like with music. Everybody has their own way of working. And I have mine, you have yours. If you haven't seen it before, maybe you'd like to follow some of my rules. But in this one, we're not going to go into too much kind of complicated areas. We're not going to go into thousands of tracks or hundreds of tracks and separating dialogue. The video that I've made is actually just visual. So there's no dialogue involved or anything. So we're just going to build up some basic sound design, which will include some layers, some atmospheres and some sound effects. So really, there's not much more to talk about here. Don't forget, put your headphones on if you're listening. Some of the sound effects may have to be a little quiet when we're mixing them because that's the way these things work. For instance, you know, the background sounds that are going on, barely audible sometimes, but they all add to the, you know, the overall picture. So let me put on my little bottom left corner screen. So I've got basically a blank project here. Actually, I've already tested this, but I've completely wiped it apart from a couple of tracks so that we can see the whole setup from start to finish. So I think that's enough of the intro. Once again, thanks for having you with us. Terry over there, moderating the chat, and of course, as usual, will be sending me little bits of, you know, notes and trying to reply to any questions that you guys may have. I think that's enough of the intro, so let's just turn the camera off and go over to the project. Okay, so headphones on, and let's get into it. First thing we're going to do is, yeah, there you go. First thing we're going to do is pull up the video. Now, I've already made a blank project, as you can see here. Don't worry about the size of the screen because we'll be zooming in and out as we're working. But yeah, so the whole point here is I'm going to do this pretty much from scratch, but we've already made a basic project. There's a couple of things that I've done deliberately wrong just to show you how it all works. So let's move on and camera off. And first thing we're going to do is just quickly look at the project. So you can see I've got a video here, Airport MP4. I made this video myself. Thanks, by the way, I need to put the camera back on, I'm sorry. I want to say big thanks, of course, to Pexels. You can get a lot of free content from Pexels and Pixels, I believe it's called. Pexels for video and photographs and stuff. You can get a premium account, which I don't have, but I find it really handy just to find little bits and bats. So, you know, big thanks to them. Always good to give credit where it's due. Let's just have a quick look at the project structure. So here it is. When you've created a project, you'll normally see all this stuff, but one thing you won't see is a folder called video. Now, this is something I want to stress quite clearly here. When we come to importing a video, it doesn't automatically get copied to the project folder. So here you can see I've got Cubase Project Steinberg Air Travel, which is the title of the project, and there's the NPR file. But what I want to point out is when you're doing the video side, like let's say I've got the original rendered version over here. If you copy that over to Nuendo now, you won't get it copied to your project file. So for me, it's always ideal to make sure that you've got the video in a folder called video. Now I've got other videos on how to make folder structure, and I've actually written a few tools to help with the folder structure. Again, we're not going to go into that now. So let's start just by dragging this video in now that it's copied where it belongs to be. So I've got a track up there called video, and I'm literally just going to drag this over, and there it is. Right, we can get rid of that particular dialogue now. And let's just put snap on, so we can snap the beginning of the video to the time of 0. And you'll notice, if you look carefully here, the first thing you'll notice is there's a little red text there. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but basically what that is saying is that the video was shot at a different frame rate to the project. So the first thing we're going to do is sort out the project frame rate. At the moment, as you can see, it's not very clear on here. I don't know if it's more, yeah, we'll bring the video up in a minute. So we're going to go over to the project menu and drop down to project setup. And we're not going to spend any time in this dialogue today at all, other than just to say get frame rate from video. And it's set the project frame rate to 25 frames per second, which is what I rendered the video at. Super cool. All right, let's move on. So just a quick little bit more info about the actual video I've done here. Like I said, got the footage from Pexels, from various authors. Great site, like I said. And I'm just going to play you through the video. I'm an aviation fan. I do actually have a pilot's license. So for a small aircraft. So I'm a big aviation fan. So I just picked some stuff that I thought might be useful or might be interesting to see. So what we do, we just move this video down. Let's put it down here. And I can zoom in and out on it then. So here's the video. It's basically a short clip of an escalator or a moving footway, and then people boarding a plane, and then a plane taking off. So it's a little tiny story about somebody going through an airport, getting onto a plane, and then the plane taking off. And to be honest, it might not even be, those two might not even be the same aircraft, to be honest. I can't quite tell from that. Maybe one of you guys can. But it could be. It looks like it could be a 737 or it could be a 320. I can't tell for now. I haven't looked that carefully. So I put the videos together, a little bit of color correction to make sure that they kind of look like they've shot from the same scenes. A little bit of a vignette, and that's it. It's done. So as short as possible. So let's get rid of my ugly mug. And I'll come back in a while, though. Be prepared. And let's get into it. Let's see what we can do with this. First thing I'd like to do is make some markers that show us where the different scenes are. And as you can see, it's switching around here. There's scene number 2, scene number 3 to the end. So previously, this would be, a case of creating markers. In fact, we can create. Let's make a marker track. Main markers. Let's put that up at the top there. Actually, let's put it just below the old temperature, tempo and signature. And I'm just going to make a marker that you know, delineates the entire video there. All right, we'll bring up the marker track. I'm going to give it a description of all video. And that's it. So we've now got a marker that enables us to kind of delineate the whole video. Why is that useful? Well, if we, for some reason, end up in the wrong place, we can just easily skip to the beginning and the end. But adding another stage of usefulness, sorry, excuse me, I'm getting tangled in my headphones here. We now have another feature that I'd like to show you in order to delineate the scenes. What we're going to do, we'll skip over to Project, and we're going to go down to Video Cut Detection Panel. And here you can see that. That's very, very useful little tool. Again, not going to go through all the fine details because we've done this before, but I've set this up to make cycle markers on each of the scenes. So let's see how it works. Basically, we can adjust the sensitivity. So this is if you have fades and, you know, so on and so forth. The lower the sensitivity, it will change the way that it detects the frame changes, but with the scene changes. But with this, as you can see in the video behind us there, we've basically got clear cuts. I didn't do any clever transitions or anything. So there's 3 scenes and then there's a little fade at the end. All right, so let's analyze that. We'll leave it at 50% and let's see what happens. Select the video event. Okay, yeah, there we go. And we're off. So this is going to hopefully make us realize, here we are, it's detected 4 scenes, and there's actually 3 scenes, but one of them I believe would be the end. So you can see there, if I skip through, it's showing us the 3 scenes and there's a little fade out at the end. Now we can adjust the sensitivity to get rid of that fade out at the end, but actually I quite like it because that will give us a marker to show us, you know, where the fade starts. We can nudge the cursor around a little bit as well if we want to. I'm not going to mess around with that. In fact, I don't want to really spend too much time on this, but let's just add those markers in and see what happens. We'll add it on the active marker track. Marker description will be cut at the moment. And let's just go for it. And close that down. And now if you look up here, you can see that we've got 3 markers cut there and the final one at the end. So I'll just, for the sake of doing things nicely, I'm going to just quickly name those. So we'll call that airport. We'll call the second one what about boarding. Oops. Boarding. We'll call it boarding, better. And we'll call this one takeoff. And this one will be fade. So there we have it. And now you can see we've got these 3 beautiful markers here, the 3 main ones and the little fade at the end. And this also, if you have this setting turned on, you get these lovely little lines that come down and show you in your project where the separate scenes are. So let's just run through that again. Last time, we'll just make sure that looks accurate. Here it comes, and bing. Useful, huh? Very useful. And bing, and we're done. Okay, so let's start building up some actual sounds. So as I said, today I've got 2 things to do with this, which is nice. First thing we're going to do is look at some of the free tools that come with Nuendo. The sound design libraries. There's 2 libraries, the Pro Sound Effects library and the Game Sound Effects library. And within those, there's pretty much, you know, a lot of effects that can be used. And then what we'll do is we'll go and have a look at the daddy, which is Soundly. So let's get on with it. Camera off. So normally when you're building up something like this, there would be an order of operations, as it were. If there's, you know, dialogue, that would probably already be done. If there's footsteps, you'd probably want to do the footsteps first, because that's the boring task, and it's nice to get that out of the way, and it's a good backdrop for everything else. But I'm just going to kind of do this a little bit randomly today. I'm not going to worry too much about, you know, labeling and messing around. I just want to show you the tools that are available. So we'll start off with scene 1, and what I'm going to do here is we'll select the scene 1 marker that I've got, the airport, and we'll press my little key there that selects everything between that, so that we can clearly see where we're working on that first scene. And the first thing I want is something that's going to give this moving footway a bit of a sound. All right, so I'm going to go over to the right hand side here. As you can see, this is the media panel, and if we go to loops and samples, you can see all the stuff that you have available. And if we find, let's just move around a little bit. I've probably gone past it, haven't I? Da-da-dee. There's the game sound effects. And where is the, yeah, there we are, the bright orange icon. Pro sound effects. And this comes free with Nuendo. So does the game sound effects. But we'll start with the Pro sound effects library. And we just click that. And we've basically got a whole bunch of sound effects. We play some of these. Let's turn that volume up. Nice. Sheep might be useful. There's a plethora of these, as you can see. There's pretty much something for everything, which is cool. So, but I want to find something for that sound. Now, something I want to point out here. Again, back to the camera for a sec. The labeling of sound effects. You may be aware of this, maybe not. But for example, moving footway. It's not necessarily going to be named a moving footway in this list. And you might find a sound that is nothing to do with a moving footway or an elevator or anything like that. But it's what it sounds like, right? So, for example, there was on the little bike video I did in one of the tutorials a while ago, there was a little belt on somebody's backpack that moved around, and for that I actually used a dog collar. You know, so it was named as dog collar, but you know, so you have to search around, and it takes time. And you'll listen to things and you'll think, yeah, that could be useful. And, you know, but the nice thing is, if you have an idea in your head of the kind of things that you want. So for this, like I said, the first thing I want is something to give us the sound of that moving. So we're going to have a little scroll through. I think there's some elevator noises in here. Yeah, there's 2 elevator sounds. Let's have a listen to those. All right, so that's got a door. Opening, closing. That's really not what we want. There's one here. That's got a door. But now this is the thing I was saying earlier about the fact that, you know, headphones may be useful, because in this case, the background sound there is actually very quiet, but that's perfect for what I want, to be honest. Right. So what do we do now? We just simply select a part of that that we like. Let's say from, no, we don't want that beginning part. So let's, I think we'll go from roughly from there. We don't want to align the beats to the project because it's not musical at all, and we don't want to wait for the project to play because we're not auditioning like a loop. You can use those features if you're doing music stuff. So let's pull that in and have a look at it. I'll pull it down to a blank track over here, and then what we'll do is we'll move that track into this folder, and we're ready to start. So I'm going to have to move this down a little bit, I think. I want to try and keep all this visible while we're zoomed in and out. That's the only thing. So let's just bring up the mixer. That gives me an idea of the zoomed area. Actually, let's put that down there for now. Right. So let's have a listen. All right, so obviously the doors at the beginning we do not want. I don't really want that creaking that happens there. So all I'm going to do is simply move that across, something like that. I can put snap on and back off again, and let's have a listen to that. Super cool. And don't forget, I'm doing this purely using the built-in sound libraries so far. Right, camera off, let's carry on. So basically that runs all the way to the end of that scene. So the simple thing with this, it's a nice long effect. There's no need to do any editing on it, to be honest. We'll mix at the end. We'll do a quick mix at the end. But basically I'm going to, again, with snap back on, I'm going to snap that. Yeah, something like that. Let's turn that off actually and just do it manually. So we'll pull it so it just goes a little tiny bit over into the next scene. Maybe, yeah. And then we'll just do a little fade there so that there's a slight fade into the next scene, and we'll do a little fade at the beginning. Let's have a listen to that. It's funny, isn't it, how as soon as you put some kind of sound onto the video, it changes the whole feel and context of it. Right, so we're in an airport. So we've got the sound of the I keep wanting to call it an escalator, but it isn't, is it? It's a moving footway. You see them in all the airports. There's no people around, which is nice, but there probably would be around the sides of the video, maybe at the end there. And in fact, I should point out that I reversed this video because the original footage was with the guy going backwards. So I reversed it. If you look really carefully, which hopefully you can't, you'll see people walking backwards. Right, so let's move on. So we've got that. Now I want some ambience of some kind. Now if I just type up here, ambience or AMB will do us, and we'll see what we've got from Nuendo's free tools. So that's an office background with a telephone ringing. There's a party. That's horses. Oh, that might be useful. That's a hospital. See, this is the thing. That's a hospital MRI, but it's got a nice buzzy sound, which might be useful. So we'll come back to that. But I think I'm going to actually take the, where was it now? The office. So again, just going to drag the file over, chuck it on there. It's very, very long. We'll move it up here. And again, Little fade at the beginning. It doesn't have to be super accurate in this particular case. And then what we can do is actually just cut that. I could have, oops. I think I've muted it there by accident. All right. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, it looks like it's muted because of the color. So we'll change that color. There we go. Right. Right, so it's very loud. It sounds like you're in an office now. It's completely ruined everything. But the little buzzing and the background noise, I feel, may still be useful. So we're not mixing yet. So all the faders are set to 0. But what I'm going to do is just pull this down actually with the level within the actual audio part. Awesome. Yeah, the little telephone there actually was quite nice. It could, that could be anything that's going on. Right, so there's not really much more on this one. But I told you I did like that hospital MRI. So let's also add that into the mix. Once again, I'll pull that up, put it into the, and we'll cut it. The reason I'm cutting it rather than dragging, by the way, is because I don't want to move the screen dimensions around too much. Because I want to make sure that the zoom and everything still works properly. So once again, let's have a listen to that now with that hospital MRI. Oh, way too loud. So just lots of lovely ambient noise. I think we still pull that down, but we're not going to do too much with the mix right now, are we? So let's not worry. I just want to build these up as quickly as possible. So one more quick listen. Yeah, hospital. Lovely. It's pretty cool, huh? With 3, what you would never really think, if we'd have searched in there for airport, whatever, you probably wouldn't have found anything. But just having a little scan through, you can find the stuff that you need. Right, let's move on. So I think we've done enough on the first scene there. We will come back to it though, because there's a couple of little things that I can't wait to show you, to be honest. And if you're thinking, well, that's not complete, you may be right, because there is a couple of things, like I said, we'll get to towards the end. So the next scene, boarding. Here it is. So again, there'd be ambient noise and maybe a few, clicks and buzzes. Who knows? It's outdoors, so there will be, there may be birds and things like that. So let's see if we can find something, that sounds a little bit like, about a little bit like outdoors at an airport. I noticed it's funny, isn't it? They're next to each other here. We've got shoes. Nope. Heart monitor. You never know. Little things like that may well actually add to the overall scene. But let's see these helicopters. Actually, I quite like both of those helicopter sounds. Let's pull this video up a little bit. Yeah. So let's ooh, my headphones are slipping off. Let's pull in, which one? I think that one actually. But what we do is we have that very quiet. So again, a little fade at the beginning, a little fade at the end, depending on how you're working. You know, some people might prefer to actually have these as perfect cuts, but I like to do just a tiny little fade, especially when it's things like this. Let's have a listen to that. We'll go from the scene before. So we just want it in the background because it's not this plane, it's other things that are going on, right? And then let's pull in, where's that other one? Yeah, a little bit of, there's a background noise there that's quite nice. So you see, all I'm doing here is just pulling in from the little media bay extension over here on the right, picking the bits that I like, which was later on, so let's slide that across. Once again, it's a little fade. So that's given us a nice little bit of kind of outside ambience with aircraft noises. Well, no, let's just randomly see if there's anything. Forklift movement. Actually, what's Frankenstein? Yeah, I don't think we need that one. But let's pull in this. Let's pull in this forklift. Pull him up into the folder. I forgot to pull that one in as well. And let's just pull that in. This is going to want to be super, super quiet. Because, right. Brilliant. So we've got that. We're still kind of missing a little bit of a ambience from that one. But we'll come back to it. Actually, no, you know what? Let's do it right now. We'll have a look in the game audio because I think, if I remember rightly, there's a couple of things that might be useful in here. So we go to the game sound effects. And what I want is kind of a low rumble of some kind. So we've got, in the game sound effects, there's lots of ambiances and clicks and buzzes, and there's a magpie there. Pigeons drive me mad on the balcony in the morning. There's a forest with some insects. Cars, lots of cars. Different specific brands of cars as well. These are what I was looking for, these dark. Yeah, that's exactly the one I was looking for. I knew it was in there somewhere. So that's just like a sci-fi drone sound. But underneath, underneath what we've already got, so I'm going to collapse those down now. So we're saving a bit of screen space. Underneath what we've already got, I think that might actually be quite nice. And I'm going to actually overlap that a little bit more than necessary, and actually probably overlap it a little bit more on that side as well. Right, so let's go back and have a listen. Now, see how that's just given that whole thing the feeling that there's still feel that forklift's a bit loud, but once again, we're not mixing here. We're just getting roughly into place, and then, you know, yeah. Hope you guys are doing all right, by the way. Hope you're not finding this boring. I love doing this. You know, it's one of those things that, especially when you're working with a video that had no sound at all. So it's not super complicated. There is some super complicated things. I've done some jobs. There was an animation that I did, which unfortunately I can't share with you because it's all, you know, it's official. But I can show you the links to it maybe. So animation, so there's no sound at all on an animation, nothing. So all the dialogue has to be done. And of course, then every single effect, somebody moving, a little bit of cloth movement, there was some really complicated stuff, but it's so much fun when you play it back and you see, wow, there was no sound on that. And now it actually sounds like a living and breathing piece of film. So, all right, let's move on. Like I said, I hope you don't find this too boring, but then again, that is the purpose of this particular video. So we're closing that one down a bit. Let's close all these down a bit. I wouldn't normally do this. I'm on a 4K screen here. But I want to try and not move too much once we've set up the zooms and everything. So let's have a look at some ambience. So once again, I will type, we're in the game audio library here, so I'll type ambience. And we've got the low rumble. Wind rustle. Nah. Oh, that's quite nice. Because you can hear in the background there, there's a few people talking. So not that it would be very loud because obviously they're quite a long distance away, but I think that might be nice. So again, I'm just going to do a rough fade on either side of that. I'll cut it because I don't want to move the screen around. And we'll do a rough fade at the end. And let's have a listen to him. Okay. Still feel that forklift's far too loud. Nice. So shall we play the first two scenes, see what we've got so far? Yeah, there's some stuff missing from this, but again, we'll get to it. And then we've got the last scene to do. So the obvious thing here would be the fact that this is all green and lovely and there's trees and so on. So let's look for some kind of farm ambience or something like that, or forest. Nah, too far away. Farm, calm birds. Farm. I'm sure there's some farm stuff in here. Yeah, there we go. So let's pull in this farm, pull him up to the folder. And this is going to be the background for our plane taking off. We'll have it round about there. And then the nice thing here is I've got this marker set earlier on of the fade. So it'd be very simple for me to just start fading out that ambience where the video fades. Let's have a listen to that. Cool. So for the final thing here, we need the sound of an aircraft taking off. And like I said, I believe, I should know. I should know if that's a 737 or a 320. I'm pretty sure it's a 737. So I'm going to go back again. Oops. I'm going to go back to loops and samples. I'm going to go back to the Pro Sound library. And I know there's some aircraft sounds in there. Yes, and there we have. I've typed 737 and we're getting human burp and printer port. I don't know why that would come up under 737. Maybe it's some kind of clever algorithm, but anyway, we definitely want this one. So pull him in. I'm running out of space here. I could get rid of the bottom mixer, I suppose. And let's pull that track up into the effects. We'll minimize these, open these up. And let's have a quick listen outside of the video to see where we feel that works best. So, in this case, let's have a quick look. We need to go back to the video itself. There's a peak where it's right in front of you. So, as you can see here, we've got kind of a peak on the video, on the audio itself. So I really want to get this peak to kind of match up with where the aircraft comes towards you. So if I do this, it's just a bit out of sync for me, that one. So there's a few ways we could deal with this. Let's have a look at that now. So there's a few ways we could deal with this. One of them would be to cut this little area here and just drag it across and then try a crossfade. It's made the track a funny color again, so let's make it a bit more obvious. So we could try a crossfade here. Yeah, that doesn't work in this particular case. So the other way would be to do a time stretch on it. So let me select the sizing applies time stretch. And let's see. Now it's quite a lot. Actually, we need to put the file itself back to its full size, and then pressing the number 1 key. Sizing applies time stretch. And let's see if that sounds any good. Not bad, not bad. Ideally, you would find something that was longer. Ideally, you would find something that was longer than that, and then, you know, you'd be able to stretch it out. And I still think we're not quite there. So let's just spend a couple of seconds working on this part. I'm going to pull it over a little bit more and then try the stretch. Or let's put it back where it was. Have another listen. Yeah, so let's try this. So what I'm going to do, we know we've got this part roughly, you know, the loud part here. Let me zoom that in. We've got the loud part roughly in front of the camera. So it's just this beginning part, isn't it? So what I'm going to do, instead of stretching the whole clip, we'll cut it at one of the kind of least important parts like this, and then we'll just stretch the intro, as it were, and see if that's any good. Awesome. And we've got a nice little crow in the background there as well, who's giving us the, you know, the impression that we're actually, you know, out on a field. It would be a bit one of those with, there shouldn't be birds really around, as you probably know, on a runway because of the danger of bird strikes. So they quite often send people out to clear the birds, even on a small airfield. Right, so let's have a listen to all of that without any mixing done. Let's see how it looks and feels. Honestly, it's clever, isn't it? I mean, I know I'm showing you how to do this, and I have done it quite a lot, so, you know, I'm okay at it. But it is clever. If you saw that video, maybe if you were a sound design expert and you were analyzing it, fair enough. But I think you'd be hard pushed to tell, even with that little amount of work that we've done so far, you'd be hard pushed to tell that that wasn't the actual sound. And it's quite amazing. I speak to people a lot about this. It's quite amazing that a lot of people don't realize that even in big movies, how much of the sound is actually replaced like this, or with proper Foley artists, of course, who, you know, if you can afford them. So, and of course, ADR, the replacement of the dialogue, which we've already dealt with. Okay. So really, that's pretty much done. The only thing now we would do would be a little bit of mixing. And as I said, I've been mixing, let's turn the video off for a second. I've been mixing these with the actual clips themselves. So we've already got quite a good balance. But then there would be a case for maybe adding some ambient reverb or something like that, and any other things. One other thing, I guess, before we move on, just as we're in the game, I think, yeah, let's have a quick. There's one thing that just occurred to me, and we're not going to use this in this particular case, but I just thought it might be a useful thing to show you. And then we're going to move on to Soundly. But I just wanted to quickly, let's go whoosh. Because these for game and certain scenes and certain, especially maybe if you're not so much doing, okay, so we've got all these whooshes and swooshes. Maybe not so much for this kind of video, but if you're doing a presentation video, something like that, it actually, the use of these whooshes, these are all in the free library, don't forget. I just want to find a short one. Ah, here we go. Look, they actually call them tiny transitions. There, let's use that as an example. I wouldn't, like I said, in this particular video, I don't think it's the kind of thing that you'd want at all, but why not just show it in action? So if we zoom in, you can see the line there which delineates the change of the scene, and what you do is you put a little whoosh over the change of the scene, and you'll see this on TV, especially some of those cheesy TV movies CSI, and not degrading them because they're great watching, but you'll see it on that kind of thing quite a lot. So just to transition between one scene and the next. And of course, the same thing would go over here. But I have no intention of leaving these on. Don't worry. All right. So let's get rid of those, and for the final part of this video, I'd like to have a look at Soundly. All right. Soundly is an online resource for sound design. Basically, this video isn't about Soundly, by the way, but I need to tell you a little bit about it. It's a huge library of sounds, all searchable, and they all come down from servers. You can also use your own libraries as well. So let's just bring up Soundly and have a quick look. I'm not going to go, like I said, into huge detail here, but let's just pick something at random. We can type in at the top and press search, and here we go. You name it. And the nice thing with Soundly, which is kind of contrary to what I was saying earlier on, is that the sounds are really well organized with names and tags and so on. So actually, you may find that you can find things a lot quicker than what we were talking about earlier on. Now, how I like to work with Soundly, especially when we're doing a video like this, we have a little VST3 plugin called the Soundly Monitor, which, let's just close the video down. And you can see that it's saying status connected. Basically, what you do is you set up a track. I think I've already got it set up here. Yeah, Soundly Monitor. So you set up a track that that's going to be used to listen to what's coming from Soundly. But this is just for monitoring. It's not for, you could record it, of course. You could, if you wanted to, you select your sound. And you can see it's coming up through the Soundly monitor there. You could easily record that in real time if you wanted to, but that's not really how it works. With Soundly, the idea is you select, you search, you select, and you drag across, or in fact, there's a facility here to send directly to Nuendo. So let's, for example, we had a bit of trouble with. Okay, it's camera off. We had a little bit of a trouble with the 737 taking off. So let's type. Oops, it won't work if I type Chekhov. Take off. And let's see if there's anything a little bit. See, look, immediately we've got a huge list. Interior, 737, before takeoff, idle. That might have been useful for the second scene where the plane was just stood there, although I didn't notice whether the engines were running or not. And those are the kind of things that you really should notice, to be honest. Idle, awakes, takeoff. This is an Embraer, beautiful plane. Oh! These are from the cabin. So then you've got beautiful. That's We don't really need to look any further because I think it was this one. So the nice thing with this is we've got the ability to select whatever part we want, but it's nice and long at the beginning before it takes off. The other thing we can do with Soundly is there's a few tools. You can reverse, you can swap the stereo, normalize it, which we'll do right now. We can also clip it, convert it to mono before we send it into Nuendo, which a lot of sound design people like to work in mono, which is fine. But in this case, we're just putting something together quickly. So let's grab some of that. We could click this button here to send it over to Nuendo, but let's just show you what happens when we do that. You'll see we get the message comes up from Nuendo saying copy file to project folder, which I do want to do. So off we go, and there it is. And if we close, minimize Soundly, it's imported it at the cursor actually. So I could have actually set the cursor to the beginning and we would have been even better. So once again, drag it up to the folder. Now this time I'm going to mute the original jet that we had. I'm going to find the part that we really want with the video, the really loud part. Around about there is where the volume maximizes. And then we can do what we did before. We can drag it in, little fade, cut it off, and fade out at the end. And I think that's going to be very loud. So let's have a listen. Perhaps just a little bit loud. And even we could consider leaving the other one underneath. Great. So you see how simple this is. It's great, isn't it? You just have an idea in your head and you go for it. There's one more thing I want to do to this, just to add a little bit of detail, and then we're almost done. So I'm going to go back to Soundly, and whoops, there we go. I'm going to go back to Soundly, and what I've noticed here is that, actually, let's go back to the video. There's just a little bit there where the back wheels come off the runway. There we are, abrupt car stop. That's all I wanted. Right, so we'll pull that in, get that out of the way. Close Soundly down for a second, and I'm just going to pull that onto a new track, pull it up to the folder, and just near the beginning there where the wheels yeah, that part there, that's all I wanted. Just a little skid noise, and obviously that is going to be super quiet. Still too loud, but we'll get to that in the mix. Right, so I've given you a little bit of an outline of Soundly. Obviously, we could have used Soundly to do this entire job, but we've managed to do it with Nuendo's free tools, which is quite impressive, to be honest, especially as it's such a random thing. But there's one thing that no kind of built-in library of sounds can do, which is something that Soundly started doing recently, and I'm going to show you that right now. By the way, I love the sound of an aircraft taking off. Anybody agree with me? If you're an aviation fan, I suppose you have to be. So let me show you this. So what we're talking about here is this first scene. And if I just, again, select my locators here. What's missing from that? Some announcements. And this is something that Soundly has now started doing, and it's pretty amazing, to be honest. Apart from, like I said, the incredible amount of sounds, I mean, if you name it, you can find it, honestly, if you know. But we've now got voices. So I've already got something roughly set up here for this, but I just want to quickly show you how this works. So we've got an English person, we've got Abby. Let's use Abby.
I'll say any crazy thing that you want me to.
Okay, Abby. So, hello. Welcome to, whoops. Oh, you've got to spell it properly as well, of course. Welcome to the stream. Or in fact, welcome. We're nearly finished now. And so we've got Abby's voice, English. Don't want it to be an airport announcer. We just want it to be a, normal voice. So we'll turn all that off.
Hello, welcome to the stream.
Okay, so there was a bit of a gap there.
Hello, welcome to the stream.
Now, okay, a little bit artificial sounding, but you've got all these different voices, and these are all English.
Hello, welcome to the stream.
But not only that, we've got different languages as well. So we want Arabic, and that's an Arabic lady.
Hello, welcome to the stream.
Now, if you were to type phonetically in Arabic there, and the other nice thing, let's put some numbers in.
Hello, welcome to the stream 1 2 3 4.
You can see that she actually speaks the numbers in that language. Let's go to France.
Hello, welcome to the stream 1 2 3 4. Hello.
Hello, welcome to the stream. Sounds like Joey from Friends. But
Hello, welcome to the stream 1 2 3 4.
1 2 3 4. Should be a comma there.
Hello, welcome to the stream 1 2 3 4.
Pretty incredible. And again, like Soundly itself, the number of different voices and accents.
Hello, welcome to the stream 1 2 3 4.
1 2 3 4. I don't know Chinese, so I don't know.
Hello, welcome to the stream 1 2 3 4.
All right. So you get the idea there. And then we can take that even further. There's ways to treat the sound within Soundly itself. So this is supposedly an angry person on the phone.
Hello, welcome to the stream 1 2 3 4. Hello, welcome to the stream 1 2 3 4. I am very angry.
And you can choose on some of the voices. You can actually choose. Go back. Characters. The ones with characters here. You can choose how they present the line. So let's go cheerful. And we'll take this one to a waiting room.
Hello, welcome to the stream 1 2 3 4. I am very angry.
But you're not very angry. You sound cheerful now. There's a huge amount. Let's go look at the German voices. And basically, whatever you type here will come across.
Whatever you wish to type here will be spoken.
Tippe. Okay, so with some languages, it will recognize, the actual spelling and pronounce it like it would be in if it was written in that language. So it doesn't work perfectly with everything. Sometimes you have to mess around a little bit.
Waterverhouwes te type Here wil bespoken.
But I think that's amazing. And of course, you know what I'm getting at here. You know what I'm getting to, which is airport announcer.
Whatever you wish to type here will be spoken.
So the next step as well, I guess I could show you how this works as well. So we got the place it. So we can choose the amount and the space. So have a listen to this. I'll play it a couple of times. And
Whatever you wish to type here will be spoken.
So that's the speaker. And then on this side, we've got the amount.
Whatever you wish to type here will be spoken.
You get the idea there. We've also got various things that we can choose from. So we can go outdoors, for example. We can go to hallways and stairs. Things that you probably already have, reverbs and so on, that you probably already have in your setup. But for the voice, it's actually really useful just to audition them like this. So it's basically like having your own little built-in voiceover artist. As long as you're not, expecting absolute perfection. And in this case, I think I found something earlier that worked quite well. So I'm going to pull up I think, where have I got it now? Yeah, it's under custom. I got Smeg Air Final. And if I go to my, what I did is I set this one up in the PA system of a train station because I felt the airport was a bit large for this particular space that we've got in the video.
Whatever you wish to type here will be spoken. Whatever you wish to type here will be spoken.
So then, if I go to my history, I can find what I prepared earlier on.
Smegville Airways Flight 123 is boarding now at gate number 2. All passengers, please like this live stream and then proceed to the departure gate.
Okay, so we can see here that this clip is approximately 10-11 seconds. Now then, how long is this intro clip that we've got here? I think it's 10 seconds till we get to there. Yeah, it's just a little bit long. So again, there was a few ways we could deal with that. We can speed it up, slow it down. I do want to just show you this in another language. I used to be quite a frequent flyer and fly through Amsterdam a lot. So I found the Netherlands, the Dutch accent, and have a listen.
Smegville Airways Flight 123 is boarding now at gate number 2. All passengers, please like this live stream and then proceed to the departure gate.
Proceed. It's incredible. And of course, she's speaking the numbers here in Dutch. If you wanted her to say flight 1, you can just type it in.
Smegville Airways Flight 1 is boarding now.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll go back to our English. Yeah, there it is. We'll go back to our English. I think I got it here in the history again. Yeah, that should be it.
Smegville Airways Flight 123 is boarding now at gate number 2. All passengers, please like this live stream and...
So we can send to Nuendo or we can drag some of it, bearing in mind that the reverb on here, if we decided to close that gap, for example, it's not going to work quite right because we're using Soundly's built-in reverb. So what I want to do is just try and adjust the speed a little bit. We'll just maybe pick it up by a little tiny bit. Let's see if we can squeeze that into 10 seconds.
Smegville Airways Flight 123 is boarding now at gate number 2. All passengers, please like this live stream and then proceed to the departure gate.
Okay, a little bit too much, sounded a bit false. And let's
Smegville Airways Flight 123 is boarding now at gate number
Right, that's 9 seconds. That's great. So what I'm going to do, I could either click the button as you saw earlier, or I can just select the whole thing. I can normalize.
Smegville Airways Flight 123 is boarding now at gate number 2.
And then I'm just going to drag this over into Nuendo. It doesn't matter where I put it because I'm going to move it around afterwards. And we get the option to do that, and it's done. And like I said, we can explore soundly all day, to be honest. It's an amazing piece of kit. But that's not for now. So let's get back to the project. We'll close Soundly down and let's just put this voice into place. So I've put it on to another track because I'm rushing here. Obviously, I would be much more organized than this. I know you know this, so I don't need to keep saying it. But I put it on there and let's just have a listen and a look. Well, I know it's going to be too loud.
Smegville Airways Flight 123 is boarding now at gate number 2. All passengers, please like this live stream and then proceed to the departure gate.
Super cool. So the next step, which we really don't need to worry too much about now, would be the mix. So for this final step, I'm going to just move the video up a little bit. This is just for my reference, so I know when we come to actually, you know.
Smegville Airways Flight 123 is boarding now at gate number 2. All passengers, please like this live stream and then proceed to the departure gate.
Right, so we'll find that forklift, which I think was here. And let's put the forklift off to one side. Oops. Yeah. And the drone, the dark sci-fi drone, let's push that back up a bit. The tire skids. That's this one, I believe. We can pull that down and we can push that slightly over to the left. And then finally, again, no need to go into huge detail here, but I'm just going to write some automation onto that jet flying by. You notice that I've got the combined panners set here. So I'm going to start it off just slightly to the left. Hope you can see this. What would have been fun would have been to have taken this then into Dolby Atmos and done an Atmos mix on it. But the whole point here was to just show you the simplicity of the whole thing. So let's just quickly finish off and we'll get this plane moving just ever so slightly into the full field of the mix. So we'll start it off there and make it a bit bigger. How's that? See how that sounds. We'll start it there. We've got right automation on. All I'm going to do is just drag this upwards, downwards, sorry, like that, so that it expands and moves slightly to the right. Let's see what happens. Right, and then we leave the read automation on. And I think
Airways Flight 123 is boarding now at gate number 2. All passengers, please like this live stream and then proceed to the departure gate.
All right. I think we'll call it a day there. Sorry, I'm getting tangled in my headphones again. I think we'll call it a day there. The next thing you would do, again, would be to go through this and mix it. But we're not really talking about mixing today. We've done mixing videos before. We could add some plugins to kind of put it all together, maybe an ambience of some kind, you know, or a reverb, a very, very quiet reverb to kind of, you know, blend everything together. But they are 3 separate scenes. And then, of course, some normalizing and leveling on the master. But again, not necessary for what we're doing today. What I'm going to do is export this, and I will overlay it. I use Vegas Pro for my video work. So what I'll do is I'll export the audio, put it over this, and put it up as a separate little video on the channel like I did last time. So we're back to camera, which, as you guys know by now, means it's time to sign off. As you can hear, I'm getting croaky again. I don't know what's wrong with me lately. Thanks a lot, guys. That was really good fun. I hope it wasn't too boring for you. I hope my moving around and zooming in and out didn't make anybody suffer from motion sickness or anything. And do feel free to drop us some comments about what you thought I did wrong, what I did right, what you thought of the built-in library, whether you need to see more of that, and of course Soundly. And you know, check it all out, have a mess around. Remember what I said earlier on, no rules. I've done this very quickly. The one thing that I probably should have done, just in case you're watching things like this for the first time, I would have separated those scenes into different folders, and I would have been much more careful naming the sounds once I brought them in. You know, for example, Jet 737 by Dist, I would have named that, so that if you come back to it later on, or if you're sending it on to a mix artist or a director or somebody, everything's nice and clear. But that's all about organization. What I've done today is just quickly shown you some of the tools that are available free in Nuendo, and of course with Soundly as an extra add-on, and how seamlessly it works with Nuendo itself. That's it for now. You guys have a great evening or morning or afternoon or whatever you're doing, and I'll see you soon. Excuse me. Of course, I don't usually say this, but feel free to give us a quick thumbs up, and see you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.